Hi guys, Christina again. I got something on my mind since last night, and I just wanted to share this one with you. Just drop a little something in the back of your mind. You may have heard the term self-sabotaging as far as relationships go, and when this happens, it is a combination of so many thought processes and coping mechanisms coming into play. Now, when you sabotage something, you hijack its natural course. You deviate things from the natural way they're going to go, and you manipulate things so that the outcome becomes something you've controlled and something you've masterminded. So in relationships, you can say, okay, somebody is dating, somebody is interested in being in a relationship. Why on earth would they do this to themselves? But we do it. And I'm not going to exhaust this right now. This is something that I'm going to bring up from time to time, and it's going to overlap and integrate itself seamlessly into other topics as we go. But this is a little bit for self introspection, because this is a very important part of our own self-healing and reflecting on how we process things and how we behave, either in a relationship or before we even get into a relationship. So look at this way. You're out dating, you're meeting people, and let's say it's not online dating for the purposes of this example, and you come upon somebody who is extremely impressive. They could be attractive, very talented. They're just wow. They're wow. They're wow in every way. The potential, the charisma, the personality, the energy they give off. There's everything to draw you to this person. In fact, you can't even see anything wrong with them. Now, if you've never been in a relationship, a successful relationship with someone who kind of like intimidates you in a way, you will quake and shake in your boots, because you start to think, I don't measure up to this person. One, I don't even know if they would want to talk to me, if they would want to pursue any romantic endeavor with me. And I don't know if they're going to case me out, and I don't measure up. In fact, the fear of rejection or failing in this instance is so overwhelming. Your survival mechanism from your heart is trying to protect itself. It tells you to flee in all kinds of directions. But then logically, you've got to explain this to yourself, and maybe your friends are trying to set you up, or whatever the case is. So how do you start to do this? You start to actually look for negative things in this person. Mind you, initially you admired them, but when it comes to you and them together, you start to explain it away. Well, I don't really think it would work. I mean, look at this about them. You will even imagine things that are not there. And God help us all if you actually find one or two things that are slightly disagreeable or negative. You will extrapolate these things. You will make mountains out of molehills. Forget the fact that you're not even on a mission to become their friend, to learn more about what is so amazing about them, and if what you think or you've projected their qualities to be is actually the case. No, you're on a mission to find out negative stuff about them. You are actually just mining for dirt and negativity. And you're like a self-fulfilling prophecy in this instance. So you start to knock this person, knock this about them, knock how they did this, and your filters are 100%, forget 100, you're on a 2028% looking for negative stuff. You're incapable of actually finding anything positive about them. Think about it. It sounds unreal, but there's a person who each of us has encountered, and we've looked at ourselves and we've looked at this person and we found we don't measure up, or we're afraid that if given a chance, we may screw up, or they may find out negative stuff about us and ditch us. I've encountered this a number of times, and in fact, I don't even tell people that I'm a relationship coach. If I feel this is a connection that has opened possibilities, I actually try to hide that fact, because I have seen people just shut down and, oh, she's a relationship coach. Oh, well, so she knows it all. And I'm going to be, over-analyzed and over-scrutinized, and I'm not going to measure up. So immediately they just, if they're even polite enough to stick around and give you some lame excuse as to why they don't think it's going to work, that's one thing. But you could very well be ghosted. You could just find this person split on you. And I've got wonderful colleagues in this industry who have covered what ghosting does to people. And it can totally traumatize you, because you have no closure, you have no explanation as to what happened. What happened? Why did they disappear? I thought things were going great. I thought we had a great connection. And you have a very unrealistic, exaggerated, unbelievably negative perspective of this person that you have created. You forced yourself to create and manipulate facts so that this is the only way you see them. If you are asked about positive things about them, you cannot come up with 5, not even 10. But asked about negativity and the thing, they may not even really be red flags. You'll make them red. These things were not even pink. They were so baby pink, pastel pink, but you've made them redder than red. We're talking beyond burgundy. These things are like beetroot in color. You've made them such almost tangible facts about a person, and it's just your own fear of not measuring up. So self-sabotaging is a thing, and we all do it. It's intimidating. I remember early on in my dating history, whatever we call that, dating experiences, which just started a bit later because I just wasn't interested in that during high school. And oh my gosh, the first few years of doing this, they were all disasters. And there were guys who would put everything into approaching me and starting a relationship just for the kicks or the thrills of saying, I got her. And then it turned out they actually weren't in a position to have a relationship, either engaged or living with a woman. Just lies. Always just, it wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to work. Okay. And the minute I find that out, of course, dropped him like a hot potato. And it so happened that by the time I met my ex-husband, this was the first person who could actually check off all the boxes and not be one of these people who should have had no business approaching me, right? And unfortunately, I was cocky now. I was arrogant because I thought to myself, well, I've never screwed up in a relationship. I've always had to end the relationship because the other person was not fit for a relationship. And there was never a point where I had to look at myself and see, have I changed from all of this? Am I in a mentally or emotionally healthy position to be in a relationship? None of that had happened because I'd never been the one on the wrong end of the equation. And for him too, that was the case for him too. And there was a certain lax, laissez-faire, casualness about us where you took it for granted because you think, I guess you're the bee's knees, you know, you're the good deal, you're it, and you don't look at yourself in a realistic way because you've never had to judge yourself. You've never had to look at yourself and say, well, what was my part in it? Which we all have parts in it. Even if the person turned out to be a serial cheater, you had a part in it. We all have a part to take and to take responsibility for. I don't like to use blame because blame just shifts the responsibility and dumps it on a person and the guilt. But you all have a part that you play that you have to own, okay? Whether you encourage a situation and you were willfully ignorant about it and not seeking to get all the facts, whatever the case is, we all have a part to play in a relationship, okay? Anyway, so what happened after that relationship is that I had to now turn around and say, the things that always broke a relationship were not present in this one. So what happened in this one? There were so many small things, medium things, and a few large things that all added up. And it was just not going to work. We'll cover these in time to go. My life is pretty much an open book, right? I mean, your life is a ministry, your life is an open book, so there's nothing hidden, right? And what I realized with time is that there was a mindset I had of, I never screw up. I don't screw up. How can I screw up? It's always the guys who screw up. And when you start to encounter men who've been hurt by women who screwed up, you're like, I don't know what's wrong with some of these women. I don't know what. And they say, yeah, you know what? Most of you women, and you get defensive because you don't think that you fit into that category. But as time goes and you start to meet some of these people who have screwed up and they've owned it and they walk you through what was going on in their mind, you realize certain things you may actually relate to, or you had that thought, or you have those emotions, and you realize, oh my gosh, I could have screwed up like they screwed up too. So screwing up in a relationship, making a regrettable decision is something everybody is actually capable of doing. The fact that you've never done it is not something to be arrogant about. Nobody is perfect. In the particular relationship you're in, the opportunity may never have come up, the desire may never have come up, and that test may have never presented itself. But if you're in a relationship with another person, you may have behaved differently because the factors are all different. The catalyst that you would have been presented with and your journey together would have also been different. So who we are in one relationship is not necessarily who we are in another relationship, right? We become a factor of that. So we go back to self-sabotaging. So what happens is when you start to look at yourself and realize that actually you're not all that perfect. You've got issues, or you may be prone to something and you don't even know all the things that might manifest out of you in a situation. You now have an awareness that I may not be as predictable as I think. I may be more flawed, or this person may have more experience with relationships. I don't want to screw up. I don't want to be the bad person in this relationship. And it's a logical fear. It's a real thing. And in the absence of having a chance to talk about it and express this, reassure each other and walk through what these scenarios would be so that you're better prepared for it, what happens is it's all in your mind. It's all in your mind. You master the talk because you know what your friends and family need to hear for them to back off. And if it's a person who you're actually communicating with, you spin a story, you spin some yarn for them that you think they're going to buy so that they let the matter go. They let it rest. And what happens is you now have a situation that would have been a great opportunity for you to love and be loved or to grow in, but you just send it down the drain, glug, 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 because of your fear of not measuring up to their expectation, measuring up to how they see you, Worse if they put you on a pedestal. Yeah, I'm guilty as charged for all of that. I tend to put a person on a pedestal when I meet them, especially if they show leadership qualities. Oh, then I think you're absolutely phenomenal. So you're starting off at 100% and you're eroding it yourself as you prove yourself. So and then it becomes more realistic as I replace actual things I know about. I thought about you with what I'm actually learning about you. It becomes more realistic. Yes, you may still remain in, of course, high regard and high respect in my eyes, but you want it to be real. You don't want it to be superficial and based on supposition, right? But in the absence of actually developing a familiarity or a friendship with that person, or even a relationship and getting to know them better, all you do is you snip that in the bud. You just kill it before it even took off. So that's what self-sabotaging does. So you meet somebody, they look great, they look awesome. You may even be intimidated to the point where you can't even talk to them. So you start to nullify them, nix them in your head as to why, it may never have worked, and besides I heard this and this about them, and it could be their age, their height, it could be petty stuff, but you now make that thing, or those little things, deal breakers. You take them from being non-events, pastel pink things, to making them actual blood red, ox blood deal breakers. And they're not even your deal breakers. They're not even deal breakers to anybody. But it's just your fear, just feeling, I may never measure up. So this is a time of year where ordinarily we meet a lot of people. I get a lot more connections. It's the lovely festive season. Yes, Merry Christmas. It's 2 days away. And even going into the new year, New Year's parties, a lot of connections are made again. Maybe there's relocations coming up, new job, new church, new gym, new social groups all coming up out of your New Year's resolutions and all that. And I wish you all the best with those. I just want to say, look, keep a fresh, open mind about things. Keep an awareness about yourself. And if there's a fear in you that, you'll disappoint, it's okay, because disappointment comes out of our expectations, right? If I expect that you're going to be able to carry me up and down the stairs and you're not able to, I may be disappointed in you. But was my expectation realistic, practical, communicated even? It may all have been on one-sided. So focus on understanding what it is that intimidates you about somebody. Now, I'm not saying you can go back and recover any of those missed connections that you had. There may remain what-ifs. You may even have forgotten about them. If there's a need to, or you feel still drawn, go ahead and let the person know. There's nothing wrong with letting somebody know. Look, I actually was so intimidated and scared. I was just overwhelmed. And there's nothing wrong with being with somebody who intimidates you, but especially for men, even for men. If I truly love you and you're a dear friend of mine or brother of mine, I would tell you, find a woman who intimidates you a little bit, because what that will do is ensure you always feel like, wow, I don't really deserve her, but I want to work so hard to earn all her love and all her trust, and you'll always feel compelled to be a better person for them. And that is how you become part of bringing out the best in you because of the person you're with. If you get somebody who's just your peer, or somebody you feel like, they're good enough, you'll never feel challenged to be a better man or a better woman. So getting somebody who does intimidate you a little bit, it's not a bad thing. But don't self-sabotage when you encounter this. It's okay to feel the butterflies and feel a bit jumpy. It's a recognition that you are seeing yourself in a way that may be a little bit too hard on yourself, and you may have actually put the other person on a pedestal. All right. So hopefully that's something for you to think about. going forward and work on that. Work on that. I'm here for you. You can catch me on the website, do ask, do tell books with an s.com, on the Facebook group, do ask, do tell books, and it's under the Romantic Revolution. So have a very Merry Christmas and take it easy. There's no rush to finding love. The good thing may actually be in your life already, but you just haven't established that connection or that conversation. So don't write off your friends. Develop friendships. Don't just look for love and romance. Friendships are best to be at the foundation of a good relationship. Okay, my wrappings up always take quite a bit of time. Trying to keep this to 20 minutes. All right. So once again, a very Merry Christmas. And I'm going to make sure that every time I have a little something for you, I just hop online and post it, and I'll wait a week, because then it comes a week, 2 weeks and stuff. But you can hear from me real soon again. All right. With much love from Christina, wishing you all the best in your quest for love. Merry Christmas.